the requirement.
Yes. Now,
Yes.
your
In terms of-
affidavit says she does not have the
In
qualifications.
terms of the documents that I now have sight of, that is incorrect.
It is incorrect what is stated in your
It is
affidavit.
incorrect.
She does have the
She
qualifications.
does have the qualification.
Now, what your investigators have done in their affidavit to the court, they have said Ms. Mokwele does not have 7 years senior management experience, and therefore she does not qualify. Now show me on 179
It doesn't say so.
where it says you need 7 years senior management experience.
It does not say so in
And
this.
that is the basis for IDEC targeting this female person and subjecting her to criminal proceedings and humiliation. What the advert says is that you must have appropriate management experience. Where does one find a definition of appropriate management experience? Where does one find that? It's in the national instruction. It's in the definition section of the national instruction. And this is what the national instruction says. You must have experience above the level of a supervisor. That's all that was required. If Ms. Mokwele met those requirements, then she complied with the minimum requirements according to the advert. In her application for this position, she lists all those. She goes further and she says, I'm studying for my MBA. Are you aware of that?
No, I haven't gone through her affidavit.
Did you see her application for this job?
No.
Now, if you have not seen her application for this job, how can you make a recommendation, as you did in your prosecution memo, that she must be charged with fraud and this many other things? What fraud has she committed? According to the investigation, let's not go to what the court will decide.
Yes.
I don't want to get into what the charge sheet says.
Yes.
We limit ourselves to investigation that leads to arrests and charges. What fraud has Ms. Mokwele committed that justifies you recommending to the DPP that she must be charged with fraud and state capture and all of those things?
Again, I relied on the briefing from my team, and it's going to go back to what counsel had asked me, that I trusted them implicitly. I now see that the facts as I may have received them then, and I'd have to go back and look at it, were incorrect.
And they misled the court in many respects, because the impression they created was that the panel just did as it pleases. I want to take you to 3 documents that illustrate that above the panel, there was senior HR and people at general level who supervised the work of the panel. We're going to start on page 200, same file.
I am there, Commissioner.
Are you there?
I am there.
I'm going to challenge you before we go to. You described Ms. Mokwele's appointment as a token appointment. It's an unfair statement to make, having not seen her CV, having not seen her qualifications. Can you please, in this commission, withdraw the statement that her appointment is a token appointment? It is an insulting thing to say.
I would have to go further than to withdraw. I would have to apologize that that statement was made.
Because it's one thing to say an appointment is irregular.
Yes.
It's quite another to say it's a token appointment.
Yes. I base it on what I was given, but I accept, having gone through this file, that the word unsuitable is unsuitable.
Yes.
And that the word token is wholly inappropriate.
Sorry to interrupt you. Let's look at page 200. What page 200 and 201 reflect is that there was a proposal that a panel be constituted. And that proposal or recommendation had to be approved by the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection. But also if you go to 201, you will see that Acting National Commissioner Support Services, Lieutenant General Nkua,
Yes.
approved it.
Correct.
So IDEC must accept that somebody higher than General Kumalo approved the appointment of this panel. Okay, now let's go to the shortlisting itself and the shortlisted candidates on page 222. Sorry, it starts on 221.
I am there, Commissioner.
So what you have here is a request for approval once candidates have been shortlisted. There's a request for approval, and if you look at the paragraph 2, the second bullet point. Are you there?
I am there.
Do you see that is the post section head, technical support services?
Correct.
Now, do you see that somebody higher than the panel actually went through the list of shortlisted candidates and examined whether each of them qualified to go through the interviews? Because in respect of that one candidate, they make it clear that here the requirements are not met and therefore this person cannot be shortlisted. Do you see that? Maybe take your time and just read paragraph 2.1.
I see that one.
And then 2.2.
I see that one.
And you can assume that the next page, paragraph 2.3 to paragraph 4,
We'll
are
have-
along the same lines. But look at paragraph 4 before we go to 223.
Sorry, paragraph 4.
Paragraph 4 on 222. It emphasizes the need to comply with the relevance policy prescripts. Do you see that?
I see that.
So SAPS looks at these things. At a level above the panel, there is somebody who's reviewing the work of the panel to satisfy themselves that the panel is complying with the prescripts. And then you go to 223. Do you see that the approval is granted?
Sorry, 223.
223, Lieutenant General Nkua,
Yes.
Human Resource Management, grants the approval. And you need to read that with paragraph 2. So you must go back to 221. I'm going to read it into the record. Approval is hereby granted for the selection panels to proceed with the assessment of the shortlisted candidates for the post, which with due regard to the content of I won't read the paragraphs into the record. I will just draw your attention to the relevant paragraphs that one must look at when one assesses whether Ms. Mukwele or the panel have done anything wrong.
Sorry, Commissioner. I just need to find my document.
Help is on its way. Somebody's there to help you.
I'm told Commissioner Baloyi took it back.
Yes, Commissioner had given me a copy.
No, just go to file 3. We had
File.
located, I think, page 706.
Please give to Mudia.
File?
File 3,
It's okay, Commissioner, but
page 706.
we have found it. Let us not dispossess you. Thank you.
Advocate Johnson, I'm going to go through this very quickly because,
Yes.
so just look at clause 2 or section 2. I don't know whether they call them clauses or sections. Clause 2 of the national instruction.
If Commissioner would rather just give me the page number at the top, is that the 707?
That's correct, that would be 707. Yes.
Thank you. I'm there.
Maybe for now then, just look at B in clause 2.
Done?
Do you see that this is what I was referring you to?
Yes.
And then I'm not going to read them, just
Yes.
clause 6, I'm just highlighting them to you. I'm not going to deal with them. Clause 6,
I see that.
clause 7 deals with the selection process.
I am there.
And then clause 12 deals with the recommendation by the panel.
I see that, Commissioner.
And then let me highlight this 13 subclause 2.
I saw that.
Do you see that it says the Deputy National Commissioner, Divisional Commissioner, Regional Commissioner, Provincial Commissioner concerned must certify that the process took place in accordance with this national instruction?
I see that.
So at a level above the panel, you have 4 people who are not part of the panel, who must certify that the process
Has been followed.
has been followed. Now, if those 4 people have certified that in this specific case a process has followed, don't you think it was necessary for IDEC to go ask them, why did you certify, on what basis, what was the reason? Because they would know the national instruction better than IDEC, not so?
Correct.
Advocate Silo, I think for now I will stop here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I just raise my concern about your 25.1, the affidavit? Even allowing for your explanation that you didn't look at the documents, so you never saw this advert. You relied on a briefing from your investigators and had no reason to doubt them, even allowing for that. The difficulty that I have with your 25.1 is that at the time that you prepare this affidavit,
Commissioner.
is that at the time that you prepare the affidavit for the commission, you now have the full set of documents. You have the docket, you as you prepare, and I must again assume that you prepped for this. You didn't rely on briefings when you came here. You looked at the documents, what they say, how did we get to those decisions, what were we relying on, because you know that you're going to be asked questions about this. And if that's what you did, I have a difficulty that you still represent what you state in 25.1 when your dockets, when your documents, all your documents that you requested were collected by your investigators. are now all before you. You are coming to the commission, and you still repeat the statement in 25.1, which, as Commissioner Kumalo has shown you, it's not supported by the documents that are in your own dockets. And it leads me to one of two possibilities, that as you come to the commission, you come prepared to continue a narrative that is not based on any evidence that was before you, properly placed before you, and underlined properly placed before you, for purposes of your decision then, but also for purposes of your preparation here. Notwithstanding that, you're prepared to continue that narrative. The alternative is that you did not do the necessary preparation to be able to give us full, comprehensive answers. Otherwise, you would not have said to us in that paragraph that she was appointed as a result of manipulation of processes, and everywhere else in your affidavits where you continue that line. Which one is it of the two? And maybe there's a third. You can give a third.
Yes. In my preparation, and in hindsight, I should have corrected it. I just didn't correct it. I knew that I would be asked and be given an opportunity. In hindsight, Commissioner, not perhaps, in the manner in which the question is posed, the correct thing would have been rather remove these paragraphs and or insert a different view.
And you when you came to testify and prepared for it, did you have any difficulty with the idea that you will come here and you will not defend the indefensible now that you have the benefit of preparing and having had the evidence of for example, Colonel Pareachi, very importantly, and I think I expect that on the back of listening to Colonel Pareachi's evidence, you went about to do your own investigation. You asked questions based on whatever you were following. You asked questions to the right people. Did you have, and I ask the question because it does bother me that you have said what you've said in the affidavit. Did you not get to a point where you thought, well, maybe some of the things that we did should not have happened? And when I go to the commission, I will fairly concede as much.
Which is what I've done now in this process.
Yes.
I'm not defending my process.
Yes. Now I'm talking about when you were preparing to come here, because you're making concessions because as you are being probed. It's not as if you volunteered it. You happily read that paragraph and everything that it represents, every way that you speak about recruitment processes having been manipulated to appoint somebody as part of a capture process, which you're still going to tell us about, as part of the capture of crime intelligence for money laundering to happen. You have repeated that. Your affidavits speak to that. Nothing more, nothing outside of that, or nothing different from that. You continuing the narrative that is in the charge sheet, that is in Colonel Pareachi's many affidavits, that was in his evidence. So I ask of you, and I ask of you because you are the head of institution, I accept that in some cases you will rely on your people to brief you, right? Instead of reading documents, because you have a lot to other cases to look at. And in some cases you may well be excused, not in all cases. But when you're now coming to testify here, and we had a similar discussion about what happened in the ad hoc committee where things were put to you and you said, well, I didn't remember it, but we know there's a record of it. Here again, there's been this repetition of a narrative. Until you are probed, you make the concession, and yet some of the things, in my view, should not even have required you to be probed. You know, you should have come in and said to us, I've looked at this, and either you did not look at this stuff in preparation for coming here, or in my view, you looked at it, but you were going to continue the narrative because that's already what you have said on paper and in other fora, and that's why you stick to that version, because you cannot change it. I struggle with that, and I struggle with that, as I say, because not only because you're head of institution, but also you're a lawyer with obligations to forum like ours, with a full understanding of what an oath means and the consequence of saying things under oath that you had no reasonable basis to believe. I ask in that way, and it is a matter of concern for me that you have continued this way, and concessions have had to be forced out of you, forced in quotes, but had to be extracted from you without you volunteering them up front. I don't know if you want to say anything to that.
No, I hear you.
You understand my concern?
I understand what you said, yes.
Thank you. Sorry, Missile.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I don't know if the commissioners have anything else to say, to engage the witness on in regard to the paragraph 25.1, because I would be moving on. So, but if there are questions, I think...
We will come back to the appointment issue, but paragraph 25 for now, because it simply said manipulation of process and suitable qualifications. The part of the qualifications
As dealt with,
and
yes.
the part of the recruitment process we've covered.
Okay.
We may come back to...
I accept that. Thank you, Commissioner. We stay with your statement to the Commission, Advocate Johnson, and we're now at 25.2. Remember, this is the picture that you say emerges from Mr. Adams's referral, and by referral, I'll use the expanded definition, which is the referral, perhaps what was gleaned from the dockets and from the subsequent A1 statement of 6 January. So I take them collectively. You say there was a bypassing of vetting processes, which amongst others manifested itself in a failure to apply for and get top secret clearance where required. Who failed to apply for and get top clearances were required? Is that Mrs. Mukwele still?
No.
Who is this?
That is the other matter that is under review. That is the matter of General Madondo.
Does this arise from the Section 27? I didn't read the Section 27 to ever reference persons within CI failing to obtain clearance certificates.
No, this arises out of the investigations that were conducted.
Yeah, so
After the 28.
So when you suggest that it arises from Mr. Adams' Section 27 referral...
It's coming. I tell you forever.
I did explain earlier, and I know we don't agree, that I said I may indicate that there were series of matters referred to identified by one Mr. Adams. When the whole picture is presented, that is the investigations, these are the things that they present, and they were then into different investigations.
So then I should assume, if it doesn't arise from the Section 27 referral, I should assume in the course of the preliminary investigation, because that's all we have.
Yes.
What you stated, 25.2, became apparent. Correct?
Correct.
I would assume that would require a Section 28 authorization to investigate. It is outside the Section 27 referral. Did you authorize investigation into the vetting and top security clearances for anyone within CI? And if so, when?
We don't even care about the immigration status. We are not interested in your asylum because we don't go ahead. We don't care about we don't want it. We are referring to you operating.
Is it part of the pile you gave this morning.
It should be.
Okay, and what we received starts from this morning. What we're looking at starts from file 83280. We can skip that 3280 and go to 3282. That's the one authorization we dealt with, and this was that had the annexure of 12 names. File 8.
There must be a...
So they started 3282. The next should follow at 3285.
Yes.
The CJC 390. And then we had 3288. But 3288 is for authorizations in terms of section 28 sub 1. And if we pause at 3288, so that's a section 28 authorization, and this one at 1.1 section suggests that the persons listed in paragraph 1.2 of that document have committed some corrupt act in contravention of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. I'm reading 1.1 and 1.2 together.
Yes.
And this, as I read it, sounds like, if you look at 2.1 summary of facts,
You can't have,
this
you can't have a
is
license. None of these shops in the township have
at
a
page
license.
3289, sounds like that it's in respect of the, I'll call it the
But
Mukwele
running a
matter,
business
and
on
for lack of
on
a better
residential
reference.
area. That is the problem.
The-
So what you want?
Gives me, well, it has served on the panel
Kwezi shoko.
or had
Bana, babathatha manga
involvement
amarere
in
kwezi
the
kwezi.
eventual appointment of Mrs. Mukwele. At 2.3, you quote the SMS, and once again you speak of the employment of the employee and what it is subject to. Then, beyond that, at 3291, you then deal with the legislative mandate. So this is about the appointment of Mrs. Mukwele, that authorization.
Correct.
Okay, then we can move on to the next authorization. It's at 3299. And this one, it's dated 30th of May as well. This is for fraud at 3299, for fraud and any offense involving dishonesty. Statutory offenses there, once again, are in PRECA. And it's in relation to activities within the South African Police Service and Crime Intelligence. And you say here, you have decided to conduct a preparatory investigation. Judging by the date, I don't know if this is a different preparatory investigation or you actually meant a full-blown Section 28 investigation. Is that the correction? You remember when Commissioner Baloyi referred you to a similar...
That was the correction.
Is a correction, so we should cancel
Remove the word
preparatory. Okay. And in this instance, here you then authorize, you then provide an annexure of the persons who should be investigated. But that's for fraud and offenses concerning involving dishonesty. And then you, if you look at 3302,
Sorry, 33.
02 of the same authorization. It's common law offenses of dishonesty, and then statutory offenses, including but not limited to contravention of corruption and gratification, and contravention of the provisions of, once again, PRECA. And if you look at 3303, once again, this is dated May the 30th. If you go to 3304, it's the next document. That's a designation, I guess, in relation to the Section 28 investigation you have just authorized from pages, from page 3299. Am I correct? And you recall that what we are looking for is authorization to investigate members of the CI as regards their top security clearances and their failure to apply for such. And then by the time you get to 3307, those are the two documents provided this morning on your per request. And this is the application for investigation in terms of Section 2813. This one takes us back. And the next one, that's Exhibit 390.5. The next one is Exhibit 391. And that is, those are the two letters that you addressed to General Sintumule, and at 3314 to General Kumalo, Major General Kumalo, Detective Services, requesting the dockets. There is no authorization regarding the investigation into the vetting and issue of top secret clearances for the various other members of crime intelligence.
I see that that is not here.
Yes. So will you be in a position to obtain that? It's one thing to have a Section 28 authorization. It's another to understand, for the Commission to understand the basis of your exercise of that power, which would mean the investigation file must be provided as well. Otherwise, the Commission is not in a position to interrogate whether or not you exercised your power based on any concrete fact or evidence. And that becomes particularly important, I should point out to you, because in February already, and if you go to file 3, page 936. And you suggest that the authorization into these matters regarding security clearances for other officers within crime intelligence would have arisen after their preliminary investigations. So after you granted your authorizations, and that would have been in May 30th, on 30th May 2025. You recall that?
I recall that.
So now at file 3, page 936 is a summons issued on the 6th of February 2025. And if you go to 937, it states, under details of the matter or other information, this investigation pertains to manipulation of security vetting processes which resulted in the unlawful issuing of security clearances in favor of personnel within the division, Crime Intelligence of the South African South African Police Service. This is in February. So it's not informed by any investigation. At this juncture, the assumption was that it's informed by the Section 27.
It's more.
Now you have just testified that no, the issue of vetting and security clearances in respect of those persons listed at 938 arose after the preliminary investigation and not from the referral itself.
Yes.
That's what you explained. So now, are you able to explain why it is your investigators in February already? Remember, you are still to authorize a Section 28 investigation on the 30th of May. In February 2025, if you go to 938, why has it triggered a full-blown investigation and issuing a Section 28 summons to obtain the vetting, the security clearances and vetting files for the officers listed in there? At page 938.
See that at 936,
Yes.
it says that the investigation was authorized by the investigating director in terms of Section 2813 of the NPA Act into allegations of fraud and corruption.
But then it can't be, because you've just said that that we know that 2813 we have arises from Mr. Adams's referral.
Yes, and the subsequent engagement with Mr. Adams.
Yes, and his A1 statement of one page of January.